Live from London, this is BBC News. Russia blames Ukraine after a second drone strike on a Moscow skyscraper. It says it's thwarted an attack by unmanned boats in the Black Sea. France says it will start evacuating citizens from Niger on Tuesday after last week's military coup. In the UK, house prices dropped by the largest annual amount in more than a decade. We'll be speaking live to Nationwide about what the fall means for the wider economy. And we're live from one of many viewing parties here in London as the Lionesses take on China in the Women's World Cup. Hello and a very warm welcome. I'm Maryam Moshiri. You're watching BBC News Now, 3 hours of fast-moving news, interviews and reaction. We begin in Moscow, where a tower block in the centre of the city has come under attack for a second time. The building was first hit on Sunday. Look at these pictures. They were taken from a short distance away. As always in sport, Joe, right? Nothing is certain. Joe Inwood there. Thank you very much indeed. Now, before we go, just time to show you some dramatic pictures of a plane crashing into the sea by a busy New Hampshire beach in the US. It's a small plane, was left floating nose first in the water. Happy to say the pilot was uninjured. He was rescued by lifeguards. Good for him. This is BBC News. The latest headlines. After a drone hits a Moscow skyscraper, Ukraine denies attacking civilian ships in the Black Sea. France says it starts evacuating its citizens from Niger on Tuesday after last week's military coup. At least 20 people are killed and 19 are missing as Storm Doksuri batters northern China. Now, in the UK, we'll be launching, could be launching its first rocket into space from an island north of the Scottish mainland. The land on Unst is one of the Shetland Islands and was bought by a husband and wife team 15 years ago. Well, now the site could be just weeks away from securing a spaceport licence. Our correspondent Laura Goodwin has more details. And before we go, have you ever suffered from hiccups? Well, you're not alone. Take a look at this, a quick look. There's no sound. This is a giant panda from China's Sichuan province suffering from a bout of hiccups. The animal was filmed at the Wulong Shenshuping Panda Base in Sichuan. Cute, cute, cute. Live from London, you're watching BBC News. Russia blames Ukraine after a second drone strike on a Moscow skyscraper. It says it stopped an attack by unmanned boats in the Black Sea. France says it will start evacuating citizens from Niger on Tuesday after last week's military coup. At least 20 people are killed and 19 are missing as Storm Doksuri batters northern China. And we are live from one of many viewing parties here in London as England take on China in the Women's World Cup. At half-time, the Lionesses lead 3-0. Hello, I'm Maryam Moshiri and a very warm welcome to BBC News Now. We begin in Moscow, where a tower block in the centre of the city has come under attack for a second time in 2 days. Now, before we go, I want to show you some dramatic footage of a plane crashing into the sea by a busy New Hampshire beach in the United States. Take a look at this. Wow, that is serious, isn't it? A small plane was left floating nose first in the water after an emergency landing caused it to flip tail over nose by the beach. Officials say lifeguards rescued the pilot, who wasn't hurt, thank goodness. Witnesses say the single-engine plane was towing a banner before it crashed. Thank goodness the pilot is okay. That's it from me and the team. Back in a couple of minutes. Stay with us on the BBC. This is BBC News. The latest headlines. At least 20 people are killed and 19 are missing as Storm Doksuri batters northern China. Aung San Suu Kyi's sentence is reduced by Myanmar's military junta, but she stays in detention. And we are live from one of many viewing parties here in London as England take on China in the Women's World Cup, and the Lionesses are leading 4-1. Tens of thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes in Beijing as heavy rain and flooding continues to batter northern China. At least 20 people are known to have died as a result of Storm Doksuri. President Xi Jinping today called for every effort to rescue those lost or trapped by the rains. From Beijing, Steve McDonald sent us this report. And we love a cute panda on BBC News. Have you ever suffered from hiccups? Well, you're not alone. Take a look at this. We could just sit here and watch that all day, couldn't we? The alternative news programme, the Panda News. This is a giant panda from China's Sichuan province suffering from a bout of hiccups. The animal was filmed at the Wolong Shenshuping Panda Base, a world-leading centre in panda conservation efforts. I'll leave you with these pictures because at the end of the day, good news is good news. Bye-bye. Live from London, this is BBC News. The final moment of the Women's World Cup match between England and China. The score currently stands 6-1 to England. We're live from one of many viewing parties across the country. Russia blames Ukraine after a second drone strike on a Moscow skyscraper. It says it stopped an attack in the Black Sea. France says it will start evacuating its citizens from Niger on Tuesday after last week's military coup. Hello and a warm welcome to BBC News Now. I'm Maryam Moshiri. Well, let's get started with the Women's World Cup. And England have been playing China as the group stage of the tournament wraps up. The Lionesses got an early lead and continue to dominate the match in the final minutes, which are basically right now. The score stands at 6-1 to England, who are set to progress to the next round at the top of their group. Well, let's show you some live pictures now from Box Park in Croydon in South London, where many England fans have been gathering to watch the match, and that's where we can also join our correspondent Joe Inwood, who is there at Box Park for us. And Joe, 6-1, an amazing performance by England. The show's not over quite yet, the game's not over quite yet, but it's looking like it's in the final few minutes, I think. Andrew Harvey there. Now, before I go, I want to show you some dramatic footage of a plane crashing into the sea by a busy New Hampshire beach in the US. Well, the small plane was left floating nose first in the water after an emergency landing caused it to flip tail over nose by a busy New Hampshire beach. Now, officials say lifeguards rescued the pilot, who thankfully was unhurt. Witnesses say the single-engine plane was towing a banner before it crashed. Glad he's okay.
Now on BBC News, the latest business news from across the globe. World Business Report.
UK house prices fall at their fastest pace in 14 years as rising mortgage rates begin to bite. And a long-awaited milestone for Uber. The ride-hailing firm posts its first ever profit. Hello, welcome along. This is World Business Report. I'm Ben Thompson. Now, rising interest rates and costly inflation is hitting house prices in the UK. According to the Nationwide Building Society, prices dropped by 3.8% in July. That is the fastest annual pace in 14 years. It's also the biggest decline since July of 2009. Well, Nationwide also said mortgage costs hit the highest level for 15 years last month as lenders grappled with inflation and uncertainty over rates that were set by the Bank of England. A typical 2-year fixed rate mortgage is now 6.85%. Just time to bring you a couple of other business stories this hour, and the German logistics and delivery company DHL has reported a fall in its revenue and earnings. It's blamed that on falling consumer demand, soaring inflation and high inventories that are driving down the volume of goods that need to be shipped around the world. The company's shares fell 4% in early trade as the company reported a fall in revenue of 16%. China has restricted the export of 2 rare metals that are used to make computer chips. The measures apply to exports of gallium and germanium, which are used in smartphones and laptops, as well as a lot of medical and defense equipment. The restrictions are being seen as a response by Beijing to US and European moves away from using Chinese-made chips. And a big pulsating X sign has been removed from the roof of the headquarters of the Elon Musk-owned company, formerly known as Twitter. The company and the app changed its name to X last week. San Francisco City Hall received 24 complaints, surprised it's not more, about the illuminated structure from neighbours unhappy about the intrusive lights. Those are your business headlines this hour. We'll see you for another edition very soon. Bye-bye.
Hello from the BBC Sports Centre. I'm Hugh Ferris. England admitted their first 2 performances at the Women's World Cup didn't quite meet the standards that they set in winning Euro 2022, but the third bucked that trend. They ensured top spot in their group with a thumping 6-1 win. The Women's 100 is the opening match of the competition. That starts in just a few minutes. You can keep an eye on that via our website, and if there are any snakes, you'll find out about them there. But that's it for now. Bye-bye.
You're watching BBC News. I'm Maryam Moshiri. The UK may be about to launch its first rocket into space from an island north of the Scottish mainland. The land of Unst, one of the Shetland Islands, was bought by a husband and wife team 15 years ago. Well, now the site could be just weeks away from securing a spaceport licence. Our correspondent Laura Goodwin has the details. Now, have you ever suffered from hiccups? Well, you're not alone. Take a look at this. You can't hear it, can you? But you can see it. It's so cute. This is a giant panda from China's Sichuan province suffering from a bout of hiccups. I know it's not a news story, but come on. We want to end the programme on with a bit of cuteness, right? The animal was filmed at the Wolong Shenshuping Panda Base, which is a world-leading centre in panda conservation efforts. We'll leave you with these lovely pictures. You're watching... No, we won't. Thanks, Janet. We're watching BBC News. We'll leave you with me. Bye.
Hello there, we're into a new month, but very little change.